Hi guys, welcome back for part 2 of 10 Things I Hate About You. So, in this, like I said, in the second half, we're going to go ahead and cover the rest of the main cast. We have these ones right here. Kind of covered the first 4 right there, which did take a minute. But yeah, let's dive back into the kind of like the back half of the cast and what they would have done. So let's pick up with Joey. So Joey here is Joey Donner. You know, he's kind of the main villain / bully in my point of view. You know, he's a good-looking kid. He's actually a model, so he has money, or he comes from money. He seems to always have money on him. Drives, you know, that typical pretty guy. Drives a cool car. Everybody likes him. Gets along with everybody. So I'm curious what happens next for him now that I don't think his whole bully persona kind of got pushed out the way I think it would have. Obviously, he gets punched in the face at the end. Kind of just gets made a fool of by everybody. You know, at the prom, Bianca punches him in the face, and I think that kind of hurts his reputation a little bit, but I don't think it fully damages him the way it kind of looked. But who knows? That would have been something that would have been interesting to see. So again, I think they pick up with about, it's after prom, so if you know school schedules, it's probably about 4 or 6 weeks to graduation. So I'm wondering what life would have been like for him post that. Do people see him differently now? Do they view him differently? Do they see him as kind of like the bully that he was? Or was it just kind of like a simple, him and Cameron got into a fight at the prom and then Bianca punches him, so he just looks embarrassed. But post high school, that would have been interesting to see what they had him do. Because he was clearly a model. That was his path. Like, does all of this transpiring kind of derail that? Is he done being a model? Does he go to college and kind of, continue his ways? Like, is he just still, that, I'm the pretty guy and I'm a model, I'm better attitude? Does he carry that into the real world? Most likely, I think he does. I think what happens here in high school, I think that hurts him for a minute, but I think he just kind of comes back and becomes the guy he was until something else comes back up and humbles him. So that would have been, I think if they'd have continued with this character, it probably would have been a smaller part, because I don't think there was a whole lot more to do there unless somehow he finds a way to show back up where Kat is and Patrick, because I think Bianca's still having 2 years left in high school. I think there was no point in him having to go back and try to, amends that relationship. I could have seen him maybe as like a sub character, like he just shows up in the background every so often. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think he just would have taken the hit to his ego and then moved on. And I think it just would have been something that he probably would have wanted to forget. Now with the other characters, so we have Michael over here. So Michael becomes Cameron's, I guess we'll say, close friend in the movie, because they show up, I would say, second semester in high school. So Cameron and Michael become close. He helps Cameron make the whole plan to get Bianca. Moving forward with him, now you do see, I'm going to kind of do 2 first. So you see him and Mandela. Mandela here is Kat's best friend. You don't see a whole lot out of her too much, but at the end, those two start essentially dating. They go to prom together. So I'm curious what kind of happens with both of them. Do they move forward and have a relationship going forward? Because they are both technically seniors in high school. So, and Mandela does seem she was, just antisocial but smart. So they probably could have headed to college together. Who knows? Michael does seem like he was that Ivy League type kid. So I wouldn't be surprised if he already had a college lined up for him to go to. He seems like that, he was part of that future leaders of America type thing that he had with Bogey, his little rival during the movie. So I think you could have shown those two going off together somewhere, probably at same college, maybe, or somewhere close to where they could keep in contact. He's definitely a character, so I think essentially maybe sticking him with Cameron somewhere would have worked out fun. But who knows? Like I said, Michael, I think, had bigger plans for himself before all these shenanigans moved on. So all of this, it would have been interesting to see how that affected his plans moving forward. Probably trying to go into the Ivy League, and he probably had his whole career mapped out before all this happened. Now you go into the father, Mr. Stratford. He's hilarious in this movie. His main rule is, he's got 2 girls, doesn't want them to date at all, essentially, in life. But his main rule is that he can't date until they graduate. Now, I think moving forward, given what transpires here and what happens with Bianca, so now Bianca's free to date because her sister's dating and all that's moved on. So I think navigating his presence during like her last second half of high school would probably be hilarious, because he probably would have all these, funny things about her relationship, funny things to say like, don't do this, don't do that, you're going to get pregnant. But him having to finally navigate 2 more years of the fact that his little girl is dating and out in the world like that, I think would have driven him a little nuts, and we probably would have seen a lot more involvement in him with her trying to get her to probably find ways to stop dating, in a sense. As far as like the dynamic with the 2 sisters and the dad, I thought that was really good. They mentioned the mom left. Why? They didn't dive any deeper into that. It wasn't that type of movie, but it is kind of curious. They don't mention how or why she left, the 3 of them, but maybe that could have been something they could have dove into a little more too, as to why the mom actually left, and they don't say how or why. Next, then we got a couple about, we forgot Chastity here. So Chastity is Bianca's best friend. She kind of backstabs her in the end, and, starts going to prom with Joey. Basically just became like, I'm going to step on whoever I needed to be popular. So I think moving forward, it would have been funny to see the reaction between the 2 of them now moving forward, because obviously Chastity wants to be probably like the most popular girl in school. Bianca's probably going to be the, she's my ex-best friend, I don't care for her type move. So I think that dynamic between the 2 of them trying to kind of fight it out for maybe most popular girl in school, or maybe Chastity is going to start bullying Bianca because she's, popular now, and she's kind of left that scene behind and doesn't want nothing to do with it. So I think that would have been interesting to see too, how they would have kept that going, given the fact that those 2 are still stuck in high school now together for 2 more years after the events of all this, because other than them 2, everybody else is seniors and everybody else is gone. So, like I said, those last 2 years for those 2 would have been interesting to see. And then with that, we got a couple of side characters in there. Mr. Morgan, who was Kat's teacher. I think you'd have just seen more comedy coming at him. You could have stuck Bianca in her class and, some other random students for, different cliques that they had. I think that would have been funny to see all them kind of up his character a little more with the comedy factor. Same thing with Miss Perky, the guidance counselor. You see her working on her erotic novel the whole time. Maybe in the follow-ups you see her, or at post this, maybe she published a novel and, she's popular now and she's working on her second one, but she's still there giving the kids, it was advice, but it was very random at times, because I think she was too focused on what she was doing with her personal life. So I think you'd have had upped her character a little more, given her more comedy value, and I think that would have worked out good, given the the high school vibe that was going on there. And then lastly, you had Mr. Chapin, who was I don't know if they ever talked about what he taught, but he did seem as a soccer coach. Him, I think you just up his comedy value. In the movie, you see him, he gets shot in the butt with an arrow. Cat flashes him. He gets hit in the head with a golf ball by Bogey. So you just he's that guy that ends up hurt here and there. So I think you just bring that in there a little more. Something pops up and he gets hurt, doing what he does. Or maybe he's a PE teacher. You just show him get hurt, here and there a little more. I think that would have just been hilarious to see him kind of grow with that character. I think that would have been a good vibe. And then special talk to Bogey Lowenstein. Again, he's a senior. I think you just kind of maybe show him as a side villain, maybe to Michael. Maybe Michael goes to like Harvard or Stanford or something like that, and then Bogey's there too, and they're kind of just hatching out because they're old enemies. It seems you don't really get a whole backstory into that, but it seems like Michael was part of this, this group of future leaders, and then Bogey kind of comes in and just steals that from him. So I think you stick Bogey in where Michael is, and I think that probably would have worked out a little more. You would have seen probably like some kind of essentially making kind of like Bogey the Joey character, like he's still doing his thing, but he's there to kind of challenge Michael. But who knows? But thanks you for watching this week, guys. Thank you for watching both parts. Love you guys for it. Check out with me next week. I got something special coming up. Look forward to then. Take care.